insight development. All right. Basically, you know, recently I've been thinking about a couple of things, and one of them is this idea of what motivates us. And everybody, I think, when you peel back the layers, there's something that's driving them. There's something that they need to prove to somebody or to themselves. And so you watch tough guys, for example, and people who choose a path of violence, they're fighting their way through life. And I keep asking, what are you trying to prove? Who are you trying to prove? I think but I think with every person, if they're not trying to be the toughest guy, they're trying to be the funniest guy. They're trying to be the wittiest guy. But I feel like people are always trying to be the best at something. Do you agree with
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, I think the problem with this is that like it's our it's it's like this Western notion of happiness, right? In the sense that you have to gain something in order to feel like fulfillment. But the problem for me is like you can never hold a title for too long. You can never have this thing for too long, right? Ultimately, everything will slip away, and you really have to face the reality, which is like it's just you and yourself. And people aren't comfortable with that, right? People want to hold on to these things forever. This is why, like we accumulate all these awards and things, like even though we don't hold the title anymore, right? Even though they're renewed every year, we tell other people that this is what we've achieved. And it's almost like we try a title just to feel good about ourselves, right? But ultimately it's almost like moving from a first class seat to an economy seat. It's like, well, while it feels
Hmm.
really good to be in first class, like the moment you feel the loss of it, you want to fill it with something else. And I think that's the problem.
You seem to have a kind of a down to earth and a holistic approach to all of this, but is that something that you inherited from your parents? Or from what I can gather, most Chinese parents are all about the rewards and the certificates and the big accomplishments.
I don't know. I feel like it's probably something I've learned from philosophy and also just a lot of reading. I think for me personally, I do have goals and ambitions, and I think that we can't really live without it. I know some people who have, and they paid for their, mindset. They sacrifice things for this mindset. Right. I think we can't really separate this societal ideal from personal. Um,
Do you agree, though? Do you agree that that's something that affects us all? Like we all have something to prove?
I don't know. I think it depends on how we view it. Because if this is all like you try to work towards in life, I think ultimately you'll face disappointment. But I think this something to prove ideal is a concept you have to create for yourself, right? And it's
I
not
guess
it,
I'm just trying to identify whether it's human nature or if it's just
mm,
among certain people or if it's a choice you make. But I guess once you start on the road of trying to prove something,
yeah,
it's basically what we call drive or ambition, right?
yeah,
And what is that thing? What is that fire that burns underneath some people that
yeah,
keeps them just wanting to go forward? Like this guy wants to lift more and more. I
mm,
worked with a personal trainer this morning, and she's a power lifter like this guy, and she
mm.
just made it to the nationals and she's going to be competing in PEI. It's what is this thing that drives us? And is it, if it's not in all of us, why is it in some of us?
To me it's almost survival instinct, right? It's like in order to survive in the jungle you have to outlive everyone else, and I think that's the most basic concept of having something to prove, right? You want to demonstrate your physical prowess in order for people to like respect you. And I think eventually in society evolved into things like emotional
Yeah,
ability or intellectual ability.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you hit it with about respect. It's about sort of carving out a place in the community of a persona for yourself that you can be proud of and you can live with. Who you
Mm.
are is not just who you think you are, it's how others perceive you. So when
Yeah.
you're driven to do something to its utmost, you know you're going to catch the attention of other people. So it is about doing it for others to get that validation. So I
Yeah.
wonder if we all seek validation universally, but we just do it in different ways. And some people just do it shamelessly, or some people do it by seeking likes and subscribes, and other people do it by trying to be the best in the world, or
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like seeking validation is definitely one way that is something that is essential for us to survive. But I think the scary thing is like the sources of validation are never everlasting. Like you know that your parents will love you forever, but like ultimately, like they'll pass away, right? Or like something might happen and might not love you anymore, you know? And I think you can never think too hard into it. If you really try to dig out, you know, what you seek, or if you really try to dig out what is like fueling you, I feel like ultimately you'll leave really disappointed or afraid.
Yeah, I just think everything is such a paradox. Like
Yeah,
we were made to be so confident, so to be able to do such a thing, and then at the same time insecure that we
yeah,
need people's validation in order to motivate us. I guess that's what we are. We're just a big walking paradox.